according to the cloud.
Okay.
All right, welcome everybody to the Tree of Life Sanctuary's Summer Solstice Quarterly Gathering for 2022. Today is June 18th. We're doing it a few days earlier than the summer solstice. Today we're just gathering like we do every quarter. Virtually today is the only way we're doing it. As things evolve, we'll get back to being able to do hybrid, where we have in person from Tree of Life Sanctuary combined with virtual. And what we like to do every quarter is honor the opening of the new season, because one of the things that the Tree of Life Sanctuary teaches is the importance of aligning with the energy of the planet, in particular the hemisphere that you're living in. And we are Tree of Life Sanctuary is based in the northern hemisphere, so if you're in the southern hemisphere of the planet, then this is actually the beginning of winter. So the things that would apply for winter, aligning with the winter energy, would be for the southern hemisphere of the planet. But for us up here on the top side, if you want to call it that, of the planet, summer is about the setting of fruit and the ripening of fruit, is a simple way to put a metaphor for the energy of it. And so the wise thing for a person to do is just settle into thinking about their life and do their best to align the work and the projects and the priorities in their life to be aligned with that concept, that feeling of setting of new fruit and ripening it. Summer is a time of intense growth. It's usually when people are the most active, and a lot of progress can happen during the summer season. And we possibly, Emma, were you able to find something inspirational to share with us about summer?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, great.
Would be happy to share that. I have some summer solstice prayer. And I don't have who wrote it. Otherwise, I'd be happy to share that. But there is no author on this, but I will go ahead and read this.
Thank you.
The sun god reaches the height of his power, as all of the plants are now in flower. The longest day brings us strength and vigor as we pursue our aims and goals with rigor. Love is fulfilled in the warmest of days, blessed by the fertilizing sun God's rays. Summer fruits ripen and fill us with pleasure. In careful moments, we will always treasure.
Mm-hmm.
All of nature is filled with sweet bliss. Fruitfulness blesses each honey-soaked kiss. Now is the time of abundance and light. We rejoice in days so happy and bright, knowing that we grow in wisdom and might.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So to that, of course, Tree of Life Sanctuary is going to be aligned with the summer energy, and that's why we're talking about the library today. We are the way I like to describe it is that we are setting the fruit for the library to grow. The library is the fruit. Now, the library has existed with the Tree of Life Sanctuary for decades. We have had books and CDs and DVDs and divination decks and all kinds of different things donated from the very beginning when the school started in 1997. And the energy that is in all of these wonderful treasured items is very powerful, because the majority, as I say, of the items were donated, and the people that donated them have either passed or they just were ready to move these items on. But they used them. They studied them. Some of them have notes written in the sides of, on the margins and things like that. And you can feel the passion in these books and the films and all the different things that we have of that individual seeking their truth, connecting with their divine within. And that's one of the things that really makes our library unique. So it has existed, and we've done a lot of work over the years to get it cataloged and have some of them accessible, which we do have in the suite we have downtown Bellingham right now. However, we have a lot of them that are not accessible. And what we are launching this summer is the raising up of the library to its fullest potential. And what that basically means is that as we continue to get some of the newer donation collections cataloged, we are also upgrading our software to be able to better function as a library when people donate things and when people check them out. And we also are going to be relocating to a new place in Whatcom County that will be big enough to have our library fully out and in use. So we're really excited about that. We're going to have lots of cool things in there. Of course, plenty of space for the shelves with the items on them and tables and chairs to use them. We're also going to have additional rooms. And I mentioned a Zoom room for hybrid gatherings for people like Yolanda and Cynthia and Jan, who aren't in Bellingham at this point in their life. So we will be having also a better way to get the items to people that want to check them out that don't live locally. We have a system for that right now. It's just not functioning as smoothly as we want it to. So all of that is to come, and that's what we're excited about. What I'd like to do is I'm going to have a little chat here with Emma. Emma's on the library team, and the thing that is so exciting for all of us is that the library is just one of the ways, but a major way, that the Tree of Life Sanctuary is fulfilling its mission to uncover the divine in spiritual seekers by nurturing self-exploration. Uncovering the divine in spiritual seekers by nurturing self-exploration. And the library is one of the big tools for that. So Emma, will you please talk a little bit about yourself first and why you're a volunteer on the library team?
Okay, well, what I guess I would like to share is that I feel very close to the library, and I feel involved in trying to make it more accessible to the world, because one, I've shared materials and given to the library. I actually was raised in a home that invited questions and talked about philosophy and talked about the occult and talked about how I thought about a higher power, I will say. And they were open to me questioning and seeking. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that we have at this point renamed our library, not just the Tree of Life Sanctuary Library or the library, but it is the Seekers Library. Um, and that is really, how we are fulfilling our mission, because we are making, a lot of materials that are not readily available, in local bookstores or public libraries, because we're covering the so-called occult materials in a lot of cases. We're not exclusively just covering occult. I mean, we really are covering, I would say, most aspects of spirituality in people's lives. And we have books that, are all the way from, personal improvement, self-realization kinds of materials, to those more obscure, sort of the mystical societies that, stayed hidden from public access for most of the years that they were in operation. We've got information all the way, from Egypt and the early Judaic traditions up to, modern feminism. And I just am so grateful for the kinds of materials that we have. But getting back to myself, one of the things is that my paternal grandfather actually had a parapsychology degree, and also that he had international correspondence with people, and basically all of his life was a seeker or a studier of materials. And he has given me, I've came into possession of a lot of his books, things like he was really associated with the Theosophical Society. And so I've got books by Bailey and Blavatsky that I donated. And also he wrote his own personal notes. And so I have the notebooks with his notes. And so those are now part of the Tree of Life Sanctuary Seekers Library. Wow. So I feel very invested. And also, while we've been cataloging, we've found in my donations to the Tree of Life Sanctuary Seekers Library, books by two of my aunts, and also books from my mother. So I feel, really a family history is being held by the library. And I was so grateful to be able to give those things, because I want to share that information with as many people as it are open to it. And and this, this is a way for us to do that and for us to fulfill our mission.
That's so awesome, Emma. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. One of the things that I'm getting is that, if it weren't for the Tree of Life Sanctuary existing and having a library, I'm just curious, what would you have done with those materials from your family?
I probably would have just, kept them for myself, but, I really feel like they should be shared. They're not just for me exclusively. I think that we're in an age where we're opening things up. Like I said, there were all these mystical societies, occult societies, that and most of it was, very patriarchal. The women were cut off from a lot of information. And it's time for us to have, that kind of equality and the access to that information. It shouldn't be exclusive to one sex or another sex, or and
or one race,
or there's just so much fluidity with sexuality, with race, so many things. And we really need to open our world and make it more accessible to people.
Wonderful. Thank you, Emma. Very inspiring. I love it. Anybody have any questions for Emma or myself about the library?
I kind of want to address Yolanda, you were saying you're trying to find things. One of the things that we're doing, and Jan is very much involved with this, is we've been using Microsoft Excel to catalog our books.
Okay.
But we are now in the process of moving over to a Microsoft Access system to make it, more accessible to everyone. And it'll also make, I think, the data entry and cataloging for all of us a little easier, to manage. So
yeah, because I did receive the Excel sheet that you sent when I registered, and it was just so much information that I was like, where do I start? When am I gonna? And like, me, I try to make it to all the Zoom meetings, but it's really hard being a mother and a business owner and all that stuff. So like sitting down to actually look at it, I was like, oh, like when am I gonna have time? But I did browse. I did browse it like briefly, and some of the books looked, like absolutely amazing. And I was just like, it looked like it was old text that you don't really see nowadays.
No,
that people have no philosophy of whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing I can add to that, Emma, if I can, is part of what's going to happen as we raise up this library, the Seekers Library, to its full potential, is there will be people on hand. Well, there will be volunteers and a library, people to help you or become oriented to the library. And how do you find what you're looking for? They can kind of like coach you through the process of, okay, what do you want to learn about? And, this is where you could begin. And, how do you get access? How do you get access to our Access database? And things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think once it gets up and running, for you to take a particular, topic or whatever and really dive deep, do the research, really get into the weeds with things and go over multiple sources and opinions, and it'll really give you some insight. And so I'm so excited about that aspect of it.
And I know this is probably like so off topic, but my question is, do you guys happen to have books about like Egyptian magic or like Kabbalah astrology?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We have so many astrology books you would not believe.
Yes.
And numerology and
and Kabbalah.
Things on Kabbalah specific, Kabbalah in all three, fields of thought. So yes. And, we have tools, divination tools. We've got runes and tarot decks, all different kinds. Just a lot of information that way. But yes, so
the divination tools, I'm sorry to cut you. So the divination tools and the tarot and all that stuff are going to be accessible with borrowing as well?
I think not the tools. I think the tools are going to probably stay in the physical library. So unfortunately for people that are, out of state or whatever, I think we just want to make sure that those things stay together,
I totally understand.
So
however, we can certainly arrange for somebody to have a Zoom meeting with someone that wants to learn about a deck and take them through the deck visually on Zoom and help them with whatever they're wanting to learn about the deck.
Okay.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah, because I would be interested, because I've heard of people doing Kabbalah tarot readings where they really go into the Sephiras and they draw the cards and it gives you like this whole life mapped out reading within it. And I'm just kind of like, that's why I took the Kabbalah discussion that we're doing, and I'm sort of learning that, but I would like to do more engagement with it, like practicing.
Yeah, I love that. Yep, more
But
people
what
to
I'm
help.
excited about is the physical place for the library that that has come to fruition, and that's very exciting. That the space for it.
Well, and I know, Cynthia, that, you and Jan were, the first ones to start working with a lot of these materials, and, you
Yeah,
set,
mostly Jan.
well, I know, but you set the stage for,
Mhm.
where we've taken it over and trying to add to it. And we've had, some terrific, donations. A lot of new materials have been added. So it's growing by leaps and bounds.
I think
That's
we have about
wonderful.
2,500 items now, right?
Wow.
Wow.
So I know that Tree of Life Sanctuary has carefully preserved and nurtured all of these book donations that were received from the beginning, and we packed them up and we moved them everywhere and,
Yes.
and saved them, and they're like our babies,
Yeah.
so
It's true.
that's what it feels like to me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, just it's wonderful to see it elevated this way. It is.
Yeah.
And
It'll be so lovely to see them all on shelves.
Instead of just a few.
Yeah, instead of just a few on the shelf and a bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
Boxes of books.
Yeah.
So I have a question for, like, because I know they're historical books, and of course they have to be handled with care. But what would be your recommendation for handling them when borrowing them? Like, are there certain things we need to know?
Yes.
I know, like, to keep them away from moisture and stuff like that, but
Emma, you want to answer that, and then I'll add.
I would really say that the books that you're talking about that are more delicate are not going to leave the library. They're reserved. And so they're only going to be usable in the actual library. However, the things that are newer,
okay,
we'll be able to, ship them out. So,
and I would say the percentage of the total library, Yolanda, that is in the reserved section is maybe 5%. So it's, those are books that are like 100 years old or more.
Oh my God, I want to take a trip now.
We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. And that reminds me of a story that I would like to share, that years ago I used to live in Northern California, and I was friends with an author who has written many books about tarot. Her name is Mary Greer, and she was into Wicca, goddess type of energy and teaching, and she was an amazing woman, very wise. And she shared with me, and she also was very well known for her tarot readings and her expertise. She traveled around the world going to tarot conventions, giving presentations. And so she was a professional tarot person. So she told me a story about, there was this one deck that she always wanted to see that was kept only in a library in England. And I don't remember the details right now of where this was in England, or the name of the library, or the deck, but it was an old deck, one of the original tarot decks. And people were allowed to see it, but you had to make a reservation and go there physically, and you were escorted into this room where they would bring it out to you, and you could look at it, but you couldn't touch it. It was, she said, an amazing experience to be able to do something like that. Also, in a similar vein, the Thoth deck that I trained on and use myself now at this point in my life, that was a creation of Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris. The artwork on that deck was originally created as, life-size paintings, bigger than a person. Wow. Each one. And Lady Frida Harris created that way. And those exist still, and they are in a museum in Britain with the same kind of stipulation that you can come see them if you make an appointment. So it's very, very reasonable to have a situation in a library like Tree of Life Sanctuary's Seekers Library will have, where there will be some very rare items that only can be seen in person.
Also, we are hoping to, well, we can access the library actually on our new website. You can go out there and there are procedures for how to check books out there. But one of the things that we're moving towards too is to make connections and associations and networking with other libraries of similar interest. And one of them that I'm familiar with, and actually we've got the CD that I donated to the library is one in Amsterdam called the Rittman Library.
A DVD.
A DVD, yes,
Yeah.
not CD. Because it's video.
It's a film.
Yeah. About the Rittman Library, and now they call themselves the Embassy of the Free Mind, I believe. Anyway, if you go probably on Google or whatever you use as a search engine, you can look that up too. And they actually have digital copies of information that you can check out. And they have some really, really old material. It's a lot of it's Latin, Greek, Aramaic. So, I don't know. I can't read any of those languages, but a lot of them are the illustrated manuscripts that, were done by the monks and different people. They're just gorgeous things that they have. So if you get a chance to take a look at that's really neat too. They do lectures and other things too. So if you go to their website, you can get some more information. So.
And what country are they in?
In the Netherlands.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So that's some taste of where we're going with the Tree of Life Sanctuary Library. So what other questions might you have about it, or comments or sharings that those of you who are already volunteers on the team?
So I have a question. I know, I don't know if this is like, and I know it's not kind of in relation to what we're talking about, whatever, but with all the ancient textbooks and of all the old rituals of the occult and stuff like that, how would you is it possible for a person nowadays, with the time and inconvenience that we go through, is it possible for someone to still follow the protocols from the rituals and the ceremonies of back then into present day? Or that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, first of all, let me make sure I heard what you're asking. That you are wondering if the ceremonies and rituals of the past can still be used in the lifestyle that we have today. Is that correct?
Yeah. So because there's been a lot of controversy with some other people that I've spoken to, and they're like, what would have taken one person like 40 years to accelerate in, we don't have that amount of time in today's world. So now they try to what do you call that when you like compact everything and just half-assed it? Is it still possible to do that?
As humans evolve, so do the ways and methods of becoming enlightened. And so the ceremonies and rituals and practices of old, they evolve too.
Yeah.
So what you end up with are the same types of tools, but they have been updated to fit with where the human is today in terms of our level of consciousness as a general the median level of consciousness.
Yeah.
And typically, though, somebody will need to, it's not true for everybody. Some people can take something out of a book and start applying it and really get results. But in general, most people are still going to need some type of coach or at minimum, as a real strong inner connection with your higher self to really have guidance on what you're missing or what you're not doing, things like that you need to be doing or getting. Does that help?
It does in a way. Yeah, it does. So it's like if, like some even say it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Cynthia.
No, that's okay.
I was like even saying even some people have even said like some of the tools are not practical to even find nowadays, and so they have to reinvent or like recreate the tools for the rituals.
Well, I say the same answer applies.
Same answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can have any kind of ceremony or ritual that has symbolical pieces involved in it, and still do that today with updated and upgraded according to the individual's inner guidance.
Okay.
See Jan raising her hand. Do you have something to offer on that topic?
Well, there is a community that downloads information so that they have something physical in their own home, kind of thing. Like they checked out tarot decks and that kind of thing. They were actually, I don't know if you know about gemology and numerology and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
They chose as their divination a different kind of tool, and they were able to download, there was like 4 or 5 selections, and each one of them, I think they each took a different type, and they just downloaded and printed off or created somehow their own. I think one guy actually he's a woodworker, and he made some wood tablet things for his rooms or whatever he was working with. And they were so they used the internet to download this information, but once they physically got what they needed, then they put their own energy into it and that kind of thing, and they can grow from there. So you can still use in today's world, a lot of it's an internet or some sort of digital. I still have yet to get a smartphone, but that kind of thing can be done. It's just a different way to do it. It's like, most of the sacred texts weren't written in English. So like, you have all these scholars that read the Judaic original Bible and make interpretations, and I could
the Zohar is in Hebrew and
that kind of thing. So you can pick up something quite old and bring it to today's world, or you can just use some of today's world tools, and because your path is your own unique energy and that kind of thing. So you just go with whatever your path seems to show you. If runes are something that really click with you, or numbers, because I'm a numbers girl, really click with you, and then you kind of pursue that, and then you have a coach or some group that you might want to, like I have a group that once a quarter we get together, and we just actually did it Thursday, and we come into the meeting with what we've learned since the 2 or 3 months we had before, and there's a synergetic sort of environment thing when you talk to like-minded people, and that's part of your growth. I feel that's part of your growth. So you can pursue whatever your heart tells you to go.
Yeah.
Does that help, Yolanda?
Yeah, and
feel,
I would love to hear what Cynthia was going to say too.
Oh yeah.
Cynthia and then Emma.
Well, what came to mind is like the more modern pursuit of spirituality, I would say, first of all, would be the Silva mind control, because that was Jose Silva was a radio engineer, and he developed the Silva mind control that is in the 70s, I think it was, and even today they're still there. And Mind Valley. Vision was a Silva mind control proponent from a teenager.
Who's
and from
Vision?
there, Vision Lakini is he's the Mind Valley creator.
Oh, thanks.
And so and that is a huge thing nowadays, and it's bringing tools into the public accessibility. So he has a huge following, and he's lives in Estonia. So those are two examples of spirituality evolving to include the whole of humanity, because every human being is a miracle that we made it here to Earth to fulfill a goal, to fulfill our mission. And so we all should have access to all of the tools that we want. So I did the Silva mind control when I was very young, and a young mother, and my mother was always into occultism, she did card readings, and she did astrology, and we were familiar with the association research, the ARE, which was
Edgar Casey
and those things. So Edgar Casey brought spirituality a new way of looking at spirituality, because he did readings for people that had physical problems and recommended but his readings went way farther than that, and they're preserved now. And the ARE has a organization that's been around for years, and since the 40s, I think, died in the 40s. So those are some examples of how spirituality has evolved, and the tools to use have been upgraded, so to speak, from the ancients that were in other languages and things like that. So for the modern man, we do
modern
have
person.
Modern humanity.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. So, and women are included in all of those things, where in ancient times they were not, but we don't even have to think about that anymore, because we have access to upgraded ways of seeking our spirituality and who we really are.
Thank you, Cynthia. How about you, Emma? You've been trying to share something.
Yeah. One I would say is that, we all choose our own paths, and, each path has different tools and ways to reach enlightenment. But what's really important is how much you dedicate to it.
Yeah.
I think there's, no really sort of quick fix. I think you live your spirituality, and that's your life's work, I guess. Whether you want to call it the great work or whatever, but with everything else, it's just like, what you put in is what you get out.
There you go.
And as for tools, like if you follow like Wiccan paths, there are many places, where you can purchase tools. And if nothing else, you can choose home objects and imbue them yourself with meaning or whatever you need to use. So you don't need anything special.
Yeah, it's funny because like I make a lot of handmade items like copper jewelry and things like that, and I make these like copper like crystal quartz wands and like the tiaras, and I'm like, what am I supposed to use? I just enjoy making them. I mean, I sell them every now and then, but it's like, how do I like infuse the teachings behind it to enhance the energies to help other people be able to use those tools?
Yep. That's the question.
We've got lots of books about those sort of things.
Well, I'm going to get with you after this session and send you a big email of all the lists.
Go for it. Go for it.
And I was even going to say, what Cynthia was talking about, and it reminded me because, I said too about sort of the patriarch, but if we go all the way back to Egypt, I mean, women were very involved in spirituality. I mean, take a look at the worship of Isis. And we have books about that. So
there's that.
That's what I'm looking for.
So let me just sort of bring this back around for watchers of the video, the recording. Are there any other questions or sharings that any of you have about the Tree of Life Sanctuary Seekers Library and the plans? Jan?
Well, I just wanted a little note to Yolanda. Marcia isn't on this particular event, but she is really could be a great coach or help you out with stones, because that's her thing.
She's really into crystals. So
and stones. She knows the attributes in which, all that kind of thing.
That's touching into one of the 3 pillars of service that the Tree of Life Sanctuary offers. Seekers Library, the courses, which we haven't been focusing much on lately, and resources, trusted resources. And part of that is what that means is practitioners that we know are reliably good at what they do and trustworthy. And Marcia's one of them. She's on our website, so you can contact her there.
I was going to say, even in your class, the spiritual satisfaction class, one of the sort of lessons is creating an altar.
Yes.
Or creating sacred space. So those are all things that we offer. So
right.
Also, there's a couple classes in the spiritual satisfaction on divinations itself.
Correct.
You seek out what you are attuned to and figure out what's your best way to use those kind of tools.
Okay. And are there going to be like classes or courses or anything for those who have kind of like been doing the altars and like a little bit like already into it?
Yeah, of course.
Like more practice, like I guess like an intermediate or advanced class.
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes.
And how long? I'm sorry, one more question. How long will we get to use the resources or keep the resources for when we borrow the books?
At this point in time, if you're local, we were thinking 2 weeks was long enough. If you're at a distance, because you have to take into account the mailing time. So I would imagine it would be a month, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking, Yeah, we really haven't, I don't think we have a hard and fast policy at this point because not very many people have checked things out. Not very much anyway. So Jan probably can speak more to what's gone in and out than I can, but
there's always, you can always get an extension, you know.
Right.
We plan to sit down one weekend and then it's 3 weeks before we actually sit down and start a book kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So as long as we're informed that it hasn't been lost or they did receive it, or they moved several times and can't find it.
And that's why we do charge a fee to replace books that may be lost. So it's $25 a year at this point in time.
Yeah.
Unless you're involved in another part of our services, in which case then you're gifted with a no cost membership to the library. So does that help you, Yolanda, with your questions? Anything else you want to ask? I know you got to leave pretty quick.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, well, if you
I think so. I mean, I'm gonna stay on for a little bit longer though, because
okay, if you think of something, just raise your hand.
Okay.
All right. And I just want to make space for anybody else that wants to share something or ask a question. Okay. All right. Well, I want to just say, for those of you who are here with live to get together today with the energy of our excitement, and those watching on YouTube, hang in there with us. We're going to be talking about the library very regularly here over the next several months, and we'll keep you updated on the progress with everything. The best way to stay updated at this point in time is to be on our email list. We will be having somebody get back into our social media, taking care of that. So that will become another portal for keeping up with us. Right now, it's pretty static out there on social media for Tree of Life Sanctuary. You can go to our website, treeoflifesanctuary.org, and find a lot of information there about who we are and all the different things that we offer for services. And there's on the contact page, you can sign up for the regular e-zine. So if you are a person that has been familiar with Tree of Life Sanctuary over the years, and you're thinking that, geez, maybe this is something that I'd like to get involved with in somehow, we're getting ready for you. We are going to have some fun stuff coming up. So hang in there, stay tuned, stay connected with us. And thank you for being here with us today. One last opportunity for asking questions or sharing from those of you who are here with me.
Well, I haven't said much.
Paula.
I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed all of everybody's conversations. And, you know, even though I've been quiet, I've been listening very, very attentively and taking notes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Paula. Yolanda, did you have anything else that you can think of that you want to ask before we wrap it up?
No, I think that was it. I missed the last 5 minutes. My phone froze up. It said, so I don't know what you guys were saying.
I was just saying that if any of the people that might be watching this on YouTube, or any like you, since you missed it, the excitement that we're feeling today is going to be continuing on now here for quite a few months as we start ramping things up. And if you feel like this is something that you really maybe want to get into a little more, you know, like helping out with whatever might interest you that we have where we need help with the bringing the library up, just stay connected with us, because we are preparing a way to have people come in to help. This is going to be a project that requires a lot of people to help. And we've got a great core team already, but it's not enough. We need, like some people have made reference to, we need a village. We need more than a village to raise up a library, even though we've got a tremendous amount of progress already. It's now we're going to bring it into three-dimensional physical realm, manifesting a new space for the Tree of Life Sanctuary's Seekers Library. So stay tuned, stay excited, and sign up for the easing. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Happy summer. And we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah,
All right.
it was great to see
Thank you.
everybody, and
Yeah.
thanks for coming today. So,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay,
Goodbye.
bye-bye.